Details of the public transport fare subsidy scheme. Word from South Korea's president that Kim Jong-un will visit Seoul soon.
Hello and a very good evening. Beginning next year, local residents may enjoy up to $300 of public transport fare subsidies each month. Sharon Tang has the details.
Regardless of how much you earn, how old you are, authorities say the subsidy is for everyone. That's as long as you pay with your Octopus card and spend more than $400 a month on public transport. The Transport and Housing Bureau today announced the public transport fare subsidy scheme will go into effect in January 2019. It's a government effort to lessen the financial burden of long-distance commuters. The scheme will cover the fares of the MTR, franchised buses, ferries and more, except this.
The whole rationale of the scheme is to benefit our members of the community to travel on local public transport services and in order to get the subsidy from government. So our intention and the scope of the scheme will not cover those cross-boundary public transport services.
Here's a simple calculation. Assuming you spend $1,600 each month on public transport, $400 will be deducted. For the remainder, 25% of it will be subsidized. So you will receive $300, which is also the maximum amount of subsidy one can receive under the scheme. The amount will be reimbursed simply by a tap on machines at over 1,800 subsidy collection points, including convenience stores and supermarkets. No registration is required, except for designated transport ticket holders. Commuters can collect the subsidy for the previous month on the 16th of each month within 3 months' time. The government expects as many as 2 million beneficiaries, but this woman thinks the scheme won't be of much help. She said she only spends around $300 a month. Should I force myself to spend $100 more just to get the subsidy? She added. On a side note, the government also pledged to benefit commuters of residence buses. So far, authorities say it is processing more than 30 applications from interested operators. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
The strong wind signal number 3 is in force as severe tropical storm Yutu edges closer to eastern Guangdong. But authorities noted the chance of issuing a stronger signal is not high. The observatory issued the strong wind signal at 12:40 p.m. today. Before raising the warning, the Education Bureau suspended classes for kindergartens and schools for children with intellectual disabilities. Members of the public are advised not to engage in water sports.
We expect that the strong wind signal number 3 will remain in force for a period of time. Under the effect of the northeast monsoon, Yutu will become slow moving and weaken progressively tomorrow.
Turning overseas now, South Korean President Moon Jae-in confirmed that his North Korean counterpart Kim Jong-un will visit Seoul sometime soon. This as a no-fly zone and a ban on military drills near the heavily fortified border separating the two Koreas came into effect today. Jeff Tang reports.
During his budget speech in the National Assembly, Moon Jae-in told lawmakers that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un could soon visit Seoul. Moon highlighted that both sides are continuing to build trust, citing the 3 inter-Korean summits held this year. He also revealed that a second North Korea-US summit is in the works and expressed confidence in achieving complete denuclearization on the Korean peninsula. The second North Korea-US summit is approaching the scene. Chairman Kim Jong-un's visit to Russia and Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to North Korea are expected to happen soon, Moon said. There is also an open possibility of a North Korea-Japan summit. Moon's comment came as both Koreas officially enforced a no-fly zone and a ban on military drills near the heavily fortified border. The measures were part of a military accord inked during September's inter-Korean summit in Pyongyang. It includes a halt to all hostile acts and a gradual removal of landmines and guard posts within the demilitarized zone. Meanwhile, US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis said after a meeting with his South Korean counterpart that Washington and Seoul will stay vigilant against any potential threats from Pyongyang.
Clearly, the threat from North Korea, at least as as expressed by Chairman Kim, have been significantly reduced. However, the capabilities still exist, and that is why the minister and I talk on every detail about our collaboration. Our goal here is to ensure that our diplomats speak from a position of strength, and we continue to protect the people of the Republic of Korea from any threat from the North.
His comments came after South Korea's spy agency said the North is making preparations to open up its nuclear and missile test sites for international inspection. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
Japan's central government has resumed work on a disputed US military base relocation site on the southern island of Okinawa, despite local opposition. Early-stage land reclamation work began this morning at Henoko on the island's east coast. Construction workers set up floats to mark out an area, making it off-limits to the public. At the centre of contention is a decades-old plan to move a US Marine Corps air station from densely populated Futenma to the less crowded Henoko district. Many Okinawans say the presence of so many US troops on the island is burdensome already. They want the Futenma air station closed and its replacement moved off the island entirely. Newly elected Okinawa Governor Denny Tamaki, who took office a month ago, has urged Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to stop the Henoko plan. Tamaki's father is a US Marine he's never met, and his mother raised him in Okinawa. In an interview yesterday, the governor said he planned to go to the United States this month with a message to the American people. Stop building a disputed military base and build peace instead. US President Donald Trump used his final campaign rallies to repeat his promise that his administration would continue its hardline stance against illegal immigration. This includes a massive surge of troops and police at the border to stop the so-called caravan of migrants from reaching America.
At an election rally in Florida, President Donald Trump doubled down on his threat to take away the right of citizenship to those US-born children of non-citizens and illegal immigrants.
Hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrant children are made automatic citizens every year because of this crazy policy, and they are all made instantly eligible for every privilege and benefit of American citizenship.
Before heading to Florida to help campaign for Republicans there, Trump expressed confidence the GOP would do well next week in elections for the House of Representatives and the Senate. A big campaign issue in recent days has been how the country manages the flow of migrants to the United States. Trump has singled out the so-called caravan of refugees making its way from Central America to the US border as a reason why his administration is tough on immigration. He promised the number of troops deployed to the US-Mexican border could reach 15,000, roughly double the number the Pentagon says it plans for a mission whose dimensions are shifting daily. But in Trump's mind, illegal immigration has gotten out of control, and the border needs to be beefed up to keep people out.
What's been happening over years is they would come in, release them, and they'd never show up for their trial. And we now have 25 or 30 million people in this country illegally because of what's been happening over many years. So we're not going to allow it. It's dangerous, and it's very unfair to our citizens.
Trump wants to end all illegal immigration and ensure that those who enter the United States to live and work do so legally as part of a merit-based system of immigration. Whether the president's harsh campaign rhetoric against immigrants will be a boost for Republicans remains to be seen when people cast their ballots next week.
White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow says US President Donald Trump may withdraw some duties on Chinese imports after meeting President Xi Jinping in Argentina later this month. Kudlow said in a television interview that the two leaders may have a good meeting at the G20 summit in Buenos Aires, despite the lack of a meeting agenda right now. But he pointed out that Trump did not make any promises, but was giving a very important hypothetical. Trump has mentioned in recent interviews that some tariffs on Chinese goods may be withdrawn if there are promising policy discussions. On Monday, Bloomberg reported that the Trump administration could slap tariffs on its remaining Chinese imports worth $257 billion if the forthcoming meeting fails to ease tensions.
Police in New York are investigating the mysterious deaths of two young Saudi Arabian sisters. Their bodies washed up on the shores of the Hudson River a week ago. 22-year-old Ratana Faria and 16-year-old Tala Faria were living in Virginia. One of them was reported missing on August 24th. Police say they found the sisters bound together by duct tape around the ankles and waist. They had recently requested asylum in the United States without giving a reason for the requests. Police say they're still trying to determine if this is a case of double homicide or a suicide pact.
Just this week, we had detectives down in Virginia following up leads. Their trip down to Virginia was essentially to determine what, if anything, we're looking at a 2-month gap here from August to now when the bodies were discovered in the water. Where were they? Is there any clues down in Virginia in their past life that would lend to why were they in New York, why they might have left Virginia, and anything else? So it's an ongoing investigation.
Lawyers for the family of a 15-year-old girl who went missing in 1983 have pressed Italian prosecutors and the Vatican for more details regarding human bone fragments found in the Holy See's embassy in Rome. The find, which was announced on Tuesday, raised immediate speculation over possible links with the disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi, the daughter of a Vatican employee. Her fate remains one of the Vatican's most enduring mysteries. Italian media reported that prosecutors were focusing on whether the remains could be linked to either Orlandi in June of 1983 or another 15-year-old girl, Mirella Gregori, who went missing a month earlier, also in Rome. And still ahead on the news tonight. A survey shows many local companies still undecided on next year's pay adjustments. Tony Coe named as next chief executive of the Hospital Authority. And property tycoon Walter Kwok's funeral.
Live. Korea. Metropolis. Nature. Freshness. Variety. Culture. Passion. Sky. World. 港鐵朗屏站自然都會生活，朗城會。
Welcome back. A survey shows some 60% of the local businesses interviewed remain undecided on pay hikes for their employees next year. This reflects their cautious approach amid an uncertain economic outlook. Meanwhile, the survey suggests workers in companies that plan to have a pay adjustment will see an average 3.2% raise. Caleb Bloom has more.
2019 may be a year of uncertainty for local workers. A survey conducted by the Hong Kong Institute of Human Resource Management shows some 60% of about 70 companies interviewed have yet to decide on their pay adjustments for the coming year.
I'm sure that the midterm elections, the trade war between US and China, and also the interest rate and also the property market will certainly cast some doubt, or maybe they really have to think through in order to make realistic or more cautious decisions on the pay adjustment.
The survey shows more than 94% of respondents offered an average pay hike of 3.2% this year. Employees in the financial services sector received the highest increment, a 5.3% raise. As for the coming year, apart from those companies that have yet to make up their mind on pay adjustments, about 24% of respondents are planning to give a salary rise higher than in 2018. Around 15% said the percentage increase would be similar to the current year's figure, and more than 1% replied that the adjustment would be worse than the last one. But the Institute left a positive note, saying that employers in general still remain cautiously optimistic about the local employment market and next year's pay rise level. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Another day of hearings into allegations of shoddy work at the extension to Hong Kong Station. Today, Leighton's lawyer questioned the reliability of the evidence presented by subcontractor China Technology. Haley Joe reports.
At today's hearing, Leighton Asia's lawyer Paul Shea cross-examined China Technology's managing director Jason Poon. Poon earlier said China Technology took thousands of photos as evidence of various engineering issues at Hong Kong Station. He saved the photos but deleted them at Leighton's request following a confidentiality agreement signed in September 2017. Shea suggested Leighton actually has never asked Poon to delete the photos, and indeed, those photos may not exist. Shea said Poon did not mention Leighton's request in his interview with the police, media, and the first witness statement. Shea also said it is incredible that Leighton did not ask for any proof of the deletion. Poon admitted that he did not immediately raise his concerns in writing after witnessing the bar cutting in September 2015. He added he did tell the police about the photos, but they omitted that from the report. He made it clear during media interviews that he was bound by the confidentiality agreement. The panel's chairman, Michael Hartman, questioned the way Poon handled what could become strong evidence of wrongdoing. Poon said he estimated back then only about 5% of the bars were defective and didn't think it was serious. Jason Poon complained that over the last 9 hearing sessions, too much time was spent on discussing one-sided information presented by Leighton. He said the simplest way to get to the truth is open up the concrete. Chairman Hartman stressed this is the way to test the integrity of evidence, and that's the ultimate purpose of this commission. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
There will be a leadership change at the Hospital Authority next year. Tony Ko will take up the post of Chief Executive from August 1st next year. He'll be replacing Leung Pak-yin. Ko, a geriatric physician, currently serves at the Hospital Authority's Director of Cluster Services. His appointment was endorsed by the authority's board and approved by Chief Executive Carrie Lam.
Local business leaders and politicians paid their final respects to the late real estate tycoon Walter Kwok this morning. The funeral for the former Sun Hung Kai Properties chairman was held at St. John's Cathedral in Central. The service was attended by politicians and dignitaries, including his brother Raymond Kwok, the current Sun Hung Kai chairman. Wreaths were sent by top mainland officials, including Premier Li Keqiang and Vice Premier Han Zheng. Kwok's younger brother, Thomas, was absent, as he's currently serving a 5-year jail sentence for bribery. Walter Kwok was hospitalized in August after a stroke and passed away on October 20th at the age of 68. And that's our news.
Thanks for watching.